Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today I'm going to teach you something that is going to save you lots and lots of time. Lots and lots of time in your life when you're doing math. Before we start the metric system, we need to know the little ins and outs of dividing and multiplying by tens and hundreds. Because that's all the metric system is. We don't have to figure out how many pints are in 7 gallons and do all the weird multiplying. We're going to first start with multiplying by tens and hundreds. Multiplying by tens and hundreds. And as I said, this will help us in metric conversions. Because if we're going from bigger to smaller, it's multiply. So if we're going from kilometers to meters, we'll end up multiplying. But a lot of times, the problems that we see will be given with decimals in them already. But let's try one without a decimal first so we can see how that works. We can see how that works. Alizé, what number is in the ones place for this? 3. The decimal point is always behind the ones place. If it is not written down, it is assumed it's in the ones place. Because I could say, this is $73, and I could say, this is $73.00. Value is the same, correct?
Yeah.
Okay? So the value is the same. So if we don't see the decimal point written, you're always going to find it behind the ones place. Let's keep in mind here. Because a lot of you think it's just add a 0 when you multiply by 10. It's not just add a 0 when you multiply by 10. It's actually moving the decimal point because you're making it 10 times greater. So let's take the first one. 73. And Alizé, you told me my decimal point was where? Behind the 3, because it's behind the ones place. If I multiply 73 times 10, each and every single one of you could do this. But what you say when you do this is you say, just add a 0. And that's not accurate. What you're doing is you're making it 10 times greater by moving the decimal point one place to the right. So if I have 73, my decimal point behind the ones place, and I multiply by 10, I'm going to move this decimal point one place to the right. So now instead of behind the 3, it's going to be behind a number here. But there's not 1 there, so I can put a 0. Why can I put a 0? Great question. Because if I have 39.0000000, that doesn't change the value, right?
No.
So that's why I can put a 0 here. It's just like having 73.0000000. I'm not going to keep saying zeros. I could do that all day long if you wanted me to, but I'm not going to. Even though it might be more entertaining than my actual teaching. I'm just saying. Okay? So, 73 times 10 is actually going to equal 730. Okay, we're just moving the decimal point. To the right, one place. What if we take it and we multiply 73 times 100? Sanaya, what do you think happens there? Okay. 73, if we multiply something by 100, Jaren?
You move the decimal point 2 spaces?
Move the decimal points 2 spaces. So I'm just going to make that 73 and 0 hundredths so that I can move the decimal point 2 places. Once, twice. Now it's behind this 0. It's no longer there. It moved. If I tell Mason, hey, I need to move you from that seat to this seat, he's not still there and there. He can't be both places. That's crazy, because if I had 2 Masons in this room,
Everyone would go crazy.
yes. So then this becomes 7,300. Easy as easy. All right, let's look at what if we have 9 and 37 hundredths times 10. 9 and 37 hundredths times 10. Try and figure this out and put your answer down on your paper. Nine and 37 hundredths times 10. All right, girls, stop. Pencils down. Just leave them there. Thank you. Will you bring me my phone so I can turn that off? All right, so 9 and 37 hundredths multiplied by 10 is what, Joshua?
93 and 7 tenths.
93 and 7 tenths. Because we moved the decimal point 1 place to the right. Now it's behind the 3. Instead of behind the 1, our 3 becomes the 1's place. So it's 93 and 7 tenths. 93 and 7 tenths. This is going to save you a lot of time as we start in the metric system. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in the government and you're watching this, I beg you to change us to the metric system because it's so much easier. Yeah, the government might watch this. All right, so if we're taking 39 and 5 tenths and we're multiplying it by 100. 39 and 5 tenths multiplying by 100. So if we multiply by 10, decimal to the right 1 place. Izzy, what is going to be the product of 39 and 5 tenths and 100?
39. 3,950.
3,950. Because when we multiply by 100, decimal goes 2 places to the right. When we multiply by 100, the decimal goes 2 places to the right. That's easy. You have these notes. You can refer to them as we move on into the metric system. But we also need to know, what if we're going from millimeters to centimeters? That means we have to do what? Divide. We have to divide because we're going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit. Millimeters to centimeters. So let's looking at dividing by tens and hundreds. Dividing by 10 and 100. So JJ, let me ask you this. If when we multiply by 100, the decimal point goes to the right, and division is the inverse operation of multiplication, which direction do you think the decimal point is going to go when we divide by 10?
To the
To the left. When we divide by 100?
2 times.
To the left 2 times. Okay? To the left 2 times. So let's look at a couple of these. Let's take 1 8/10 divided by 10. 1 8/10 divided by 10. So JJ said, divide by 10 left once. And then JJ also said, divide by 100. Left twice. So Natalie, 1 8/10 divided by 10 is 1800ths. The decimal moved from here to here. Now there's nothing in the ones place. So it's 1800ths. 1800ths. What if we took 1 8/10 and divided it by 100? 1 8/10 dividing it by 100. Jason?
I think it'd still be 18.
Sana?
18,000?
18 thousandths. Because we have to move this decimal point twice to the left. So if I have it here, and I have to move it once, it's going to go here. But I can't just move it once, because multiplying by 10 and multiplying by 100 are two different things. So I have to multiply it a second time, so then it needs to move here. And then it becomes 18 thousandths. If you remember that, it's going to save you a lot of time when we're working in the metric system. A lot of time when we're working in the metric system. So we'll practice this in just a moment. And you have the notes, so hopefully you will do well. We're going to use the same papers we started with yesterday that I told you to put in your green folder. So hopefully you still have them and you follow directions. Boom! Shakalaka, peace out. God bless, love you. Do something kind. Sponsor me. Subscribe. And love y'all.